Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Happy May. As you all know, I'm Pam Doobie, the ASD of Comms here at AARP New Hampshire. I want to thank everyone so much for being here today and really every day at AARP New Hampshire. I see a lot of people have red on. Thank you for wearing your team colors, and thank you for everything you do for Granite Staters age 50 plus. So today is our second installment of our 2023 quarterly volunteer roundup series. And the purpose of this is to share news with all of you from all aspects of AARP and to get your feedback. You know, with 5 staff and more than 150 volunteers, your input is invaluable. So last time around, we heard you loud and clear in the feedback that you all wanted to see each other on this call. So we have made the magic of technology work, and we can all see each other wearing red this time. So before we get started and chatting, maybe if everyone could just wave hello. We have also saved some time at the end for an open mic for you to ask your questions and express your thoughts. And we will be recording this session, so if you want to go back and watch anything, and for the volunteers who can't be here today, everyone will be able to watch it. So if that sounds good, before we hit the ground running, could you all make sure you are on mute? Give everyone a couple seconds to make sure they're on mute. All right, so let's get started. First up is State Director Christina Fitzpatrick.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you. I'm glad that we are able to share what each of us have been doing to try to fulfill our mission in New Hampshire of helping people improve how they live as they age. I want to touch on 3 topics, and you see them here on the screen. The first one is Social Security. AARP is engaged in a long-term campaign that will culminate in whatever Congress is going to do to make Social Security strong for the long term. We know that that's not likely to happen until we're getting to the brink, but we want to start working now to make people help people understand what they need to know about Social Security so that they understand the full breadth of what the program offers and understand what the challenges are and what can be done for them. We will be hosting a lot of different educational events and opportunities. Some of them are going to be quite fun. We'll be at fairs and festivals for the rest of the year with an interactive game where people can learn while having fun. So we'll be, as Pam just put in the chat, we'll be at Chichester at the Chucksters there tomorrow with a mini golf. There will be a Social Security fact at each hole, and people will go home with a bunch of Social Security trivia of things we think it's important for people to know. We'll do something similar at corn mazes in the fall. So more to come on that. Just sort of keep your eyes out, and you'll be hearing more from us about different opportunities. A question I have for you is, what do you wish you had known about Social Security before claiming, or what questions do you have about it now? So take a second and go to the chat and let us know if you have anything that you want us to know that can help us do our jobs better and help people get the information that they need. The second topic is we've had a staff opening for several months now. We are getting closer to hiring somebody. It'll probably be, I would guess, the end of June before we have anybody on board, but that's progressing. And then the final thing I want to touch on is that first in the nation primaries. Things are a little up in the air, as we have all been hearing about what's going to happen with that. But whatever happens, AARP will be in the mix, trying to elevate the issues that are important to AARP and people 50 and older with the candidates so that they are addressing these topics. The 4 issues that we are going to ask candidates to make statements about and share with people what their approach will be, strengthening Social Security, strengthening Medicare, helping family caregivers, and controlling the costs of prescription drugs. We're going to host an Activist Academy on June 27th at the New Hampshire Institute of Politics for all the volunteers who want to be involved in this presidential primaries work going forward, or where we will talk about that work and the different roles that volunteers can play, help people understand these 4 issues, why they're important and what we are looking for, and just general sort of kick off this presidential primary season. If you're interested in the Activist Academy or simply interested in participating in some kind of voter engagement work, let Ashley know. So you can get in touch with her or any of us actually to learn more. So that is it, Pam. You can move ahead.
Great. Thanks, Christina. So next up, we have Ashley Davis. We actually have a group of volunteers in the office today who are watching here at the office who just finished meeting with Ashley. So it's a long AARP day. But as you all know, Ashley Davis is our ASD of Community Outreach and Advocacy. Go ahead, Ashley.
Great, absolutely. Today and our upcoming calendar is really jam-packed and additions are being made every day. So I'd love to thank all of you for being here to listen to that and for attending the community meetings where we've been doing all this planning. It's so helpful and gives us a really strong direction. So upcoming events, you can join us tomorrow for mini golf in Concord, or next month for a guided nature walk in Portsmouth. Our first ice cream night of the season will be in Manchester, and you won't want to miss that. Keep your eyes on the summer calendar because fruit picking, in-person yoga with Kathy, presentations from the Manchester Historical Association, and more things are coming up. All of these are in the works thanks to volunteers like you. Please visit our website for all of the events in case you think you're missing anything. I will put a link to that in the chat. My second topic today is fraud fighting. On June 6th at 11 a.m., please join us for a teletown hall with Chief John Bryfonski, who is not only the Chief of Police in Bedford and President of the New Hampshire Association of Chiefs of Police, but he is also a member of the AARP New Hampshire Executive Council. He'll be joined by Mark Fetterhoff, who works for AARP's fraud hotline on a national level. We'll be talking about payment scams and answering questions from other Granite Staters. I will put the public phone call number in the chat if you'd like to join and you don't think you get the call. If you guys could help me out and put some stuff in the chat, that would be really helpful too. Have you experienced a scam lately or recently? And do you have any questions about scams? If you could put that information in the chat, we can try and get your question answered live during the call. Finally, I'd also like to highlight the Advocacy Academy. Please save the date. We will be hosting the Activist Academy on June 27th at NHIOP, which is at St. Anselm's College in Manchester. It will start around 9 a.m. and go till about 4, but we understand if you're only able to come to some parts. This event will truly be the kickoff for the 2023-2024 voter engagement work. It will include training on AARP campaign focuses, candidate questions, and media interactions. We will also have some stories from the field, a history of the New Hampshire primary, and a tour of NHIOP. Oh, and food, of course. That wraps up my section. I'm going to pass it on.
Yes. Up next is Cheryl. And Cheryl is our SOA. And I know a few of you have already been checking in with her today. She did a volunteer portal training this morning. Cheryl, what else do you have to talk about?
Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we love sharing the information that we have coming up. So as Pam just said, I've been making my rounds and doing some volunteer portal training, and I will be happy to continue to do that. Feel free to reach out to me by phone or email if you need some help with that. A reminder that I wanted to state and to thank you is for getting your expenses in a timely manner. It does help to keep our budget in line. It really helps us prepare for some of the events that you're all planning. It helps us reallocate funds if we've already expended what we expected for the month. So just please get those in when you can. And a reminder for your tolls and parking on your reimbursement, if you could use that drop down of volunteer T&S. And you can feel free if you have parking and a toll for instance, today's meeting, you can put that as a total in that line item. If you want to do some smaller group meetings, if there's maybe a few of you that are in a particular area, if you're out in the Seacoast or if you're in Greater Manchester, Concord, I'm happy to maybe go to a library and we can do some hands-on training for you. I'm also willing to, if you have a desktop, I'm happy to come out and meet one-on-one. I don't expect you to load up your desktop with your big drive and try to come and meet me somewhere. I'm happy to come and do that with you. We really just want to be able to have you utilize all of the resources available to you. One of the fun things that I like about the portal is the chatter groups. And you can connect with volunteers across the country. And sometimes you might just be able to see like what they're doing. And it might be a great idea that we can institute in New Hampshire. The last part of my volunteer portal training that I've been doing is once we have a good group trained, I've done Greater Manchester, I've done the Seacoast, we've done Greater Concord. We have Speakers Bureau coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'm gonna put together some little challenges. And I know we can have some fun with the portal. So you'll have to stay tuned on that. Make sure you can log in. And we're going to give away some fabulous prizes. Great. And my last question that I have for you, and I did this with some volunteers today, is one of the benefits of doing your reimbursements in the portal is that you can get paid even quicker by direct deposit. So if that's something that interests you, feel free to reach out to me. I can show you how to do that. And I just wanted to make sure that you know that it is completely secure. The information goes in there and it disappears. It goes right to the financial system. It disappears. So it may look like it's not even in there, but trust me, it is. So I'm happy to help in any way. So feel free to reach out. And over to you, Pam.
Sounds good to me. All right, so I'm next. And I have 3 things to talk about. The first is our June social media training for volunteers. So whether you're new to social media, curious about it, or you're a seasoned social media user, or maybe you just want to learn a little bit more, there have been a couple invitations that have gone out to join us on Tuesday, June 13th, from 1 to 2 p.m. for social media tips and tricks. So this is going to be a fun and engaging online class exclusively for AARP New Hampshire volunteers. So it's not going to be people from all over the country. It's going to be our local family. But it will be led by AARP volunteer trainers, Bettina Robson and Bob Bush. I know some of you have met both of them before. So in the training, they're going to cover some best practices, share lots of tips and tricks, and help all of you navigate the world of social media with ease. And you'll learn how to best use social media to help advance AARP messaging, which is going to be super important during the election season. Bob and Bettina will also review some of the more common social media platforms, share their focus and important security practices when using them. If you still need to register, Cheryl is going to drop the link into the chat. So we have plenty of room. Make sure you sign up. And now I want to give a little shout out to our new fraud social media spokespeople. So you may not know that every month our national fraud team assembles a package of 4 or 5 frauds, depending how many weeks in the month there are, to be on the lookout for that month. Each of those types of frauds or scams going on comes with a short script, about a minute long. And up until this point, Ashley has been recording them and we post them weekly on social media as well as on YouTube. Well, a special thank you to Speakers Bureau members Denise Petrin and Stephanie Schuyler, who are our new fraud volunteer social media spokespeople. Denise recorded her first videos this month, and Stephanie will record hers in June. So keep an eye on Facebook and Twitter for them, and be sure to then share them or retweet on your own social media. These videos are among our posts that receive the most engagement from our Facebook followers. So we know that fraud is top of mind for them. And finally, I wanted to give an update on the Hub Dialer campaign that we did last week. So last week, 5 of our volunteers, Mary Roberge, Jill Martin, Harry Kimball, Sharon Monroe, and Mary LaCroix, made appreciation calls to New Hampshire AARP members using the very easy Hub Dialer system. So what happened during the calls? Well, during the calls, they thanked members for their support. They filled them in on upcoming events and shared AARP resources. I'm really appreciative to all of them for giving this a shot and doing it. We all learned a lot, and we'll definitely make some changes next time around in order for the whole process to be more efficient and reach more people. In all, we reached out to 1,699 members over the course of the last week. It's not the end of Hub Dialer, though. We're going to be using Hub Dialer throughout the year to reach out to folks and fill them in on a variety of activities and issues we are working on. I know that there are some folks on this call who got really involved during the last election season and different legislative session to use Hub Dialer. So I encourage everyone on the call to give it a shot. We provide all the training and support. So my question for all of you, if you could put your answer in the chat, is if you are willing to help out with future Hub Dialer calls, just type HD in the chat. Thank you. All right, that's the end for me. And now we are on to Pat. Pat, are you here?
I am
Oh,
here.
wait, no, sorry. We're not at Pat yet. We're at Christina. Christina's filling in and doing advocacy. I was excited to get to Pat. I haven't seen him. All right, Christina. Christina's
We'll get to
filling
him
in on
soon enough.
advocacy this month.
We'll get to him soon. I promise to be quick. I want to cover our 3 big issues that we've been working on over the past several months. The volunteers on the Capital City Task Force have done a tremendous amount of work to try to raise the profile of these issues and put pressure on lawmakers to do what's right. There are 3 topics. So one is the system of care for, oh, sorry, I was trying to put puns in here. So systemic change in the system of care bill. So this is about creating a system of care for healthy aging so that people can get the level of care they need when and where they want it. So that New Hampshire, the way the system is now, is very heavily tilted towards providing care in nursing homes. And we all know that people would rather receive care in their homes if that's possible. And the system of care bill would do just that and would move us in the right direction. And I am happy to say that it passed the Senate with a unanimous vote. The Senate Finance Committee voted yesterday to include the funding in the budget. And so we are well on our way to making great progress this year. The Granite Advantage Healthcare Program provides health insurance to low-income folks who don't have access to healthcare through an employer or on the private market. And it is important to know that the people on this program that was founded in, started in 2014, the vast majority of them are working. And we know that people who have health insurance get the care they need sooner. So when it's easier to treat, less costly to treat, and when there are better health outcomes. We're part of a broad coalition that is pushing for this, to reauthorize this program, to continue it for the long term, since we have the evidence to know that it works. So we're working with the business community, with hospitals, with other healthcare providers, and we have great hopes that this is going to cross the finish line. It's in the House now, and CCTF are going to be active, have already been active, and will continue to be active until this bill hopefully we'll have success with it. And finally, the Prescription Drug Affordability Board. This is an attempt by to have New Hampshire do what it can to try to rein in prescription drug prices. And that this program every session faces an existential threat where there are people who want to get rid of it or really, really curtail it. And this year we have fended that off. The money for it is in the budget. And so we are hopeful that we're going to have a good outcome there as well. So lots of hard work, and we'll have lots to show for it. And now you get to hear from Pat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pat,
and a
you're up
question. Sorry, the question that I meant to ask at the beginning, what would make it easier for you to help a loved one with health conditions stay in their home? And Cheryl just put that in the chat. So here we go.
All right, we'll give everyone a second to answer that. And then Pat, are you camera ready?
I'm camera ready.
Yay. Go ahead.
We're ready to go.
Yeah.
I think you all know me, but I'm the volunteer state president, Pat McDermott. A couple of quick things. New Hampshire energy update. As you know, energy prices have gone up significantly recently over the last year or so. And AARP actually has a voting member on the Energy Efficiency and Sustainable Energy Board, which is part of the Department of Energy here in New Hampshire. And it's a major issue, obviously, for our members, high energy costs. And the major initiative that this board has for this year and next year is to increase the awareness of the value of energy efficiency and just about all the different energy efficiency programs. It's really, again, important. The irony is that energy efficiency is much more effective in New Hampshire because we have high energy prices, and so your paybacks are much quicker. The legislature's actually given us $400,000 a year to go out and promote energy efficiency. The second thing is news from the Executive Council. A couple of things that we're working on, many things, but one of them is that we were able to get some input on the very successful Andrus Award celebration that we recently had. And the report or the feedback on that was that it was very good and it was excellent, but there's a few tweaks that we want to make, and we got input from the Executive Council on those that we'll take back to the Planning Committee for the 2023 award ceremony, which will be later this year. So we got another one coming up probably in the fall. The other thing that we talked about is volunteer engagement in Nashua. We want to, in the city, greater Nashua, we want to increase our footprint of volunteers, particularly around the presidential primary. And so we're looking for ways to reach out to folks in the Nashua area to perhaps get, with the goal of getting more volunteers. So my question for you is, do you have any contacts, connections in the greater Nashua area who might be potential volunteers for AARP? Now, the last thing is we did send out a volunteer census. We got a good response rate to that, and I got a couple of really high level results from that. And that is, again, we sent it out to all volunteers. And one of the questions was, how do you want to be recognized? How do you like to be recognized? Probably no surprise here. It's with gift cards or with lunch or dinner. I think the lunch, dinner events certainly are social events as well as recognition. We asked about training, what kind of training people might be looking for, computer training, and we're doing a lot of that already. And advocacy came up as kind of the top two. What's the best part of being an AARP volunteer? Helping others was by far number one, and meeting new people. And then we asked about the staff, and that came back extremely positive as to all the different things that the staff does. And the only comment was to continue doing what we're doing and maintain open and active communication. That's my update, and I just want to again thank everybody for what you do, and as I like to say, what you're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right, so we just put a lot out there for all of you to consider. And at this time, we're gonna turn it over to the open mic section. So if you want to make, if you have any questions or comments about any of the things we just talked about or something totally different, we invite you to come off of mute. And if your camera's not on, put your camera on and ask away. And we will do our best to answer any questions you throw at us. Who's going to be first?
Could you tell us some more about that day-long session at the IOP?
Sure. Ashley, you want to take that one?
Sure. Do you have any specific questions, Kat, before I give like a overview?
Well, you said that there would be different sessions so people could, if they need to work or whatever, they could drop in and drop out. So can you sort of give us a breakdown?
Sure. There won't be any like repetitive sessions, although we do plan on holding the event again in September, in case there's anyone who can't make it or who wants to, you know, changes their mind over the summer and wants to join us. But I do understand that it's a longer event, and so we'll be sharing a schedule with everybody. There will be breaks throughout the day, so if you had to pop out for any reason, we understand. The general overview of the event, we will have a welcome. We will have AARP staff people who are experts in all of the political candidates. We'll be talking about the areas of focus, like Christina mentioned earlier. We'll also have some stories from volunteers who have already lived this and get some advice from them. Neil Levesque will be doing a tour of NHIOP and a history of the New Hampshire primary for us. We'll have lunch, and we'll also have some media training, not only by Pam, but also by an outside agency who can go over things like talking to the news outlets. So there'll be sort of a lot packed into the day. I think it'll be a really great kickoff. And we'll also have time for food and friends too.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have other, excuse me, do we have other questions?
Oh, come on, I can't be the only one.
Well, it might end up being a very short meeting if no one else has any other questions. Oh, Bev, are you coming on?
I am.
Come on in, Bev.
As much as you sort of in your survey asked us kind of what we like most about AARP, I'm going to kind of turn that around on each one of you and ask you what you like most about AARP.
Oh, that's a good question. I can start. My favorite thing about AARP is, and I'm not saying this so you'll all love me, but I love working with our volunteers. I have such a blast working with our Speakers Bureau and volunteers beyond the Speakers Bureau. I have always worked for organizations that rely on volunteers. And so I know how important you all are to get the work done, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you.
I can go next. I was attracted to AARP because of AARP's power. So I was working in Washington, D.C., focused on public policy issues, and Social Security has always been something that I have worked on in terms of trying to protect and strengthen the program, and I saw what AARP can do. And what I love about working at the state level now is that we have power in so many different dimensions. That's, you know, at the State House, but also in terms of trying to helping to make our communities more livable, providing resources, information, social events, and it's just fun. So it's just, there's a lot of different things that AARP touches, and I feel like we make a difference.
How about Cheryl? You want to go next?
Sure, I can go next. So, of course, everything that everybody has always already said is why we do what we do. I think the favorite part of me being here with AARP is the people, and that every day is a little bit different. So I get to dabble in a little bit of everything here, and I get to work with the volunteers. I get to work behind the scenes with other departments. I get to work with people across the country within AARP, but it's definitely the people that make the place here.
Ashley.
Can I go?
Yeah,
I know,
Pat, go.
I know I'm a volunteer, but I would like, that's a great question, Bev. What really attracts me to AARP and working with AARP, again, as Cheryl says, everything everyone else has already said, but is that we are the voice of the 50 plus. And in many cases, we are one, if not the only voice on some of these issues who are representing the 50 plus. To me, that's very important. And kind of a corollary to that is that we can make a difference in people's lives. And there's, you know, we can give back, we can make a difference. To me, there's nothing better than that.
Okay. Ashley?
Wonderful. Very hard to follow, everybody. I think that it's sort of a combination for me, but what has really been wonderful is the positivity. And I think not only of, you know, staff or internal to AARP, but also volunteers. You guys bring so much positivity, especially around what we're doing in community. And then also the positive impact that we're able to have on community members. So I love, you know, seeing the joy that we're able to bring to people during those community events, whether it's just because they're able to get out and about in a way that they couldn't before, or if they're learning things that are truly helpful and impactful to their life. I love that positivity.
Great question, Bev. Thank you. All right. Any other questions about anything AARP related or anything else you just want to chat about right now with the group?
And in the chat, the volunteers are asking if there is any update on hiring an advocacy person.
Oh, yes. Christina addressed that a little bit. And so the way that's looking right now is that we are narrowing down candidates and trying to get folks scheduled for interviews. And Christina, I think, said, you know, we're looking at maybe the end of June to have someone hired, which would be great.
Yeah. So I'll just add to the AARP has a pretty comprehensive process, shall we say. So the candidates have talked to our human resources advisor. I'm interviewing people right now. The people who I recommend will go on and talk to a panel of staff people from different parts of the organization. There will be a meet and greet with the staff and with 2 volunteers, Pat McDermott as the state president and Bev Cotton as the one of the chairs of the Capital City Task Force. So there are multiple stages that we need to get through, and we'll get there. There's some really great candidates.
And the other new face that we'll be seeing in mid-June is we have a new intern who's going to be starting with us. Her name is Cassidy Marshall, and she is a student at Clarkson University in upstate New York. Was just so fabulous to talk to, and we're really excited about welcoming her to the team as well.
So Pam, will she be just an intern for the summer, or will she just be an intern for a little bit longer?
She is definitely going to be our intern for the summer. If things work out on our end and things work out on her end, we've already talked to her about continuing for a second semester, and she would do that remotely from school. And we know that we can manage that because we did it during COVID. So, you know, hopefully it all works out and she'll be with us through the end of the year, but you know, time will tell.
Okay, good.
Pam, were we going to share any information about the questions that people had in chat? So for instance, when we talked about Social Security and benefits. So volunteer Kathy, she's wondering, she's 61, she works part-time, and when is the best time to apply for Social Security to get full benefits? And that might be helpful for all the volunteers that are on here if they have not started that yet.
So I will say that there is no one best answer to that question. And there are lots of different factors to consider, and you can find that information, some of that information at aarp.org/Social Security. There's a lot of information there about when to claim, about how to think about when to claim. And actually, if you go to the Social Security Administration office, make an appointment, go talk to somebody, they're really helpful for laying out what your options are. And Pat has been talking about that recently, about how much he learned from going and how he might have, his decisions might have been different had he known earlier. So I encourage you to do that.
I think we've come to the end of the questions. Are we good? Okay.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Like I said, we'll be sending the recording of this out, and we will hold our next one in Q3. I know we have a date for it, but I don't have it in front of me, but we send plenty of reminders. So thanks again for making the time today, and enjoy the rest of the week. And thank you for all that you do.
And thank you for all you guys do too. You guys are wonderful. You wouldn't have so many people volunteering for different things if you guys weren't as wonderful as you are to deal with too. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I ditto that.
Thank you.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.